Okay, let's look into Reynolds number and internal force and viscous force. The relationship is this actually. We'll be proving this. So just a small note, internal force is nothing but all the forces, all the internal stresses, that is your pressure, viscous and all of that. While your viscous force only relates to tangential stress. So basically viscous force is a subset of internal forces. Okay. Here too we'll continue to make the same assumption that fluid is Newtonian, the flow is steady, incompressible, flow fully developed and so on and so forth. So basically what we're considering is, we're considering a pipe of diameter d, and we have water flowing through it with a velocity of v. Okay, so basically if I pick up any fluid, actually need not be a water, any fluid, if I pick up one of it, okay, so on and so forth. So if I ask it what is your speed or what is your velocity, it will tell v. So that's what we are assuming, the velocity and the diameter and so on and so forth. Okay, so with that assumption, let's start our derivation. Now, so proof. So first step would be to get an expression for inertial, sorry, not initial, we are looking at initial force per unit area. Unit area. Okay. So initial force per unit area, the initial force per unit area. Again, this is something that we'll take it as given. Is given by rate of change of momentum. For a given fluid, the internal force per unit area is given by rate of change of momentum. Okay, so where did this come from? That is something that we have to take it as, someone who has researched it and given this relationship. Now, what is change in momentum? Let's go back to the basics. What is change in momentum? Yes, nothing but change in mass times of velocity. See, we are considering for constant velocity, what happens to the relationship? So we have v that comes out, all that changes is mass times of velocity. Okay, to help us understand this, I am going to make use of the following picture. Okay, so give me a second. Yeah. Now, what we're looking at is a pipe whose cross section is A, and say we are considering this as our point of a plane of observation. Okay, this is where we are observing, for example, plane of, actually, yeah, you not call it as anything. We'll consider that it's plane of observation. You don't have to give it any name. So basically, whatever passes through this is being observed. Now, after a small time interval delta t, right, bunch of water molecules or fluid molecules have come out through that surface, imaginary surface. And within a time of delta t, those water molecules from here has reached to this point. Now, what is this length? What will be the length? We know the velocity constant. So distance is equal to velocity into time. So basically, the length that this particle, say it was over here, right, it has reached to this point, the length it has traveled will be given by v into delta t. Now, why is that useful? So we are looking at an expression for Okay, change in momentum is over here. Now I'm looking at the expression for change in mass. Change in mass, that is how much mass has changed or traveled or flown, or not flown actually, sorry, passed through, is given by density into volume of the fluid passed, or the fluid which has flown or moved. So how much mass has moved? Basically, we're looking at rate of change of momentum, right? So change in momentum is given by change in mass times of velocity, mv2 minus mv1, right? But in this case, velocity is constant. Mass is what is changing. How much of fluid is coming out, or how much fluid is gushing in, and all of that. So to figure that out, what is that we are making use of? We are making use of density into volume. Okay, density of a given fluid is fixed. So that is given by rho, and volume of the fluid will be given by length into cross section area, area of cross section, area of cross section. Now, length is given by B into delta T, area of cross section is given by A, and that's your change in mass. Okay, now finally we are looking at internal force per unit area, sorry, initial force per unit area will be equal to change in momentum with per unit area is divided by area. Change in momentum is given by change in mass times of volume by area. So change in mass we know, and when I substitute it, V into V is V square del dt into, rate, so I forgot. No, change in momentum. Rate of change in momentum, my bad. There's one more thing that I missed. Sorry. Per unit area will be this. So here we have delta T by 1 by A. So delta T and A will get cancelled. We have V square into rho. Okay. Now let's move on to next step. Expression for viscous force per unit area. So this is given by your, I keep forgetting this. This is what? Eta VD. Okay, so this we have already derived. So now what we have to do is we have to divide 1 and 2. Let's see what we get. So next step would be the ratio. So we have, just a second. Next step we have is ratio. Ratio between what? Ratio of initial force per unit area by viscous force per unit area. Okay, guys, I used shortcut, sorry. I didn't do divided by A and all of that. So this is your final expression per unit area. So basically I'm dividing 1 by 2. So V square rho divided by eta V by D. And when I do work it out, I'll get V rho D by eta. And this is nothing but your Riemann number, hence proved. So sorry, your Reynold number is or can be given by internal force per unit area divided by viscous force per unit area. Okay. So again, we are not going to a lot of details because again, all of this is introduction to your higher studies. So some of it might be like 1 plus 1. You will not understand what's the point of this. Eventually you'll add it up. So in time, few of the things are very vague. You just have to know that it's there and what it represents. Eventually it will make sense, but not now.